Welcome to my logo and justification / identity assignment for Western Carolina's ENT 645 class. This was an interesting project because it was almost like a combining of past works where we were just getting started and I was doing some of the graphic design, not really 100% sure on the direction of the business. And it's been fun to take that work and kind of apply the new knowledge and skills that I've learned throughout these classes in an attempt to kind of explain and understand our direction and see where that might head to in the future. So the name Meanwhile Back in Saluda was inspired by this book. It was a childhood book growing up. I found it fascinating when I was younger because the book basically is a story where the man, the farmer in the picture, he leaves to go to the big city, which is actually a very small town in the book, where he thinks there's more excitement for the day, and he just does things like plays a chess game and runs into a few of the locals here and there. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, the wife is tending to the land, and she has a large quantity of excitement that proceeds to happen. So I really enjoyed the kind of the themes of the book about how it was a small rural lifestyle, and yet there was still a lot of jam-packed adventure and action happening at the ranch. So playing off of some of the themes in the book, I developed the name Meanwhile Back in Saluda, kind of with the understanding that although Saluda was not the biggest thriving metropolis in the area, for such a small town there is a lot to do in the area. Not being particularly artistic myself, I reached out to a few of my friends from undergrad that had art degrees, one of which is Josh Carter, and this is his business card, which did provide some of the inspiration for kind of a minimalist style of advertising in the beginning. The text that I chose to utilize up at the top for Meanwhile Back in Saluda is just American typewriter. I was trying to stick to a very rustic and rural theme, with nature elements involved with it. And at the time, those dragonflies, that artwork is something that I developed when I was younger. I actually have those as tattoos, and so it was just personally important to me, and it started to develop the natural themes of the logo as well that I always knew we wanted to incorporate into it. Again, with me doing the first round of advertising for the property caretaking business, the local market was kind of a twinkle in our eye, if you will. So I did the graphic design for both of these. I pulled from a few hand-drawn resources and kind of just developed it through a free online program called GIMP. It's like Photoshop, but free, and it's online. The one on the left is a mail out that we did. We handed out flyers in Saluda, and we also did a specific mail out to Saluda locals and to residents that we knew had second homes in Saluda. And we obtained that information from a few of the realtors in town that we were working with. The one on the right is another one that I did, except we posted these around town, and you can see on the bottom that they had tear-offs so that people were able to take that phone number with them. So this was prior to us having business cards and starting to move in that direction. As I wanted to start developing a logo, I wanted the logo to be something that we could use that didn't have text involved with it. I wanted there to be a text-based logo and then a more artistic image so that you could kind of have the two different worlds colliding for the overall image. But then this way we could also have some symbol that we could utilize for artwork, and then we could have text that was a little bit more professional, in my opinion. These are the two different designs that got incorporated. The original artwork inspiration for this growing seed came from a necklace that I bought for my mom while I was traveling in Ireland. Um, a theme growing up, and the slogan for my homeschool was "Grow and Be Strong." And there was also a Chinese proverb incorporated into some of the homeschooling text that I utilized that said, "Chop wood, fetch water." So just kind of working with these themes of nature, of growing, and also of the working elements of chop wood and fetch water. We drew some of the original artwork out on fabric first. That was just the medium that my friend Josh kind of suggested that we start working with. And then after we developed that small theme, we first created this big banner as we started growing the property caretaking business, and we started focusing more on being able to do business at the local farmers market. The foundation for the local market was laid by our experiments with the farmers market and trying to start figuring out what kind of products people were actually interested in. So there you can see how we display our farmers market setup, and you can see my brothers Patrick and Egan in the photograph working the booth. So after the development, or my initial development of our logo and design, we wound up then realizing that we were ready to have business cards and maybe even a rack card, and so we reached out to a small agency in Hendersonville that assisted us with kind of cleaning up our design, since I have never claimed to be a graphic designer. This is still the main image that we utilize in a lot of our advertisement to this date. You can see that the text kind of incorporates the traditional American typewriter style, and then the bottom in the green, we wanted to kind of make parts of it stand out. And so we actually incorporated a little bit more of a Gaelic, an Irish kind of theme to the text down below to give it a little bit more diversity, while the seed image still remains. And we stuck with the hand-drawn, the very minimal style, so that people could still kind of get a sense of this small business, this hand-drawn, hard-working theme that we wanted to continue to develop. On the bottom left there, you can see how our sign is displayed in Nostalgia Court. These are the other businesses that are in Nostalgia Court that we work with. And they did have certain parameters for how we were able to display our art and our logo on this sign. So you can just kind of see that there's a similar theme and a similar text. We stuck with the wording "meanwhile" because as we started to develop the local market, we needed to separate the property caretaking and the local market, but we wanted to keep the existing theme of "meanwhile," kind of adding to the nostalgic vibe of Saluda. And so it was interesting that we wound up in Nostalgia Court. And then we focused on wine shop and local market so that people had an instantaneous view and description of what we had inside. This is more of our advertising. This is on our door to the shop. And now we're moving into the printing of our business cards. So these are a little bit condensed so I could fit them on the same page, but the top part, you see the front of the business card for the property caretaking, and on the back there's just a quick description of our services. We chose the color scheme that we did because we wanted to stand out, and as we were researching the business cards and rack cards developed in Saluda, most of them were either white or they had a lot of red and white text on it. So we tried to stick with some white and tan themes to add more texture to the business card to make it stand out. We were also going on and trying to set ourselves up for success by attracting what we viewed to be a potential audience that's going to grow in Saluda. And so instead of having the tourists that are currently in Saluda, we anticipate that over time, as Saluda grows, a different demographic is going to start moving into the area, and so we were hoping to attract a maybe higher educated, people with a little bit more emphasis on the local and on the organic goods, and also utilizing our services for something other than just simply doing random housework that people didn't want to do. So we very much tried to set the property caretaking up for success by planning things out to have a more elegant feel to them so that we could attract an audience that was maybe willing to work with us more long term, and we could do things like set up greenhouses and gardens and actually manage their property instead of just sticking to the mowing lawns and weed eating. This is the wine shop and local market business cards. Again, we're just following that similar theme and going back to an idea that repetition and seeing our name and seeing the logo on the front and back is going to help build our audience and really ingrain our logo and the meanwhile vibe into the memories of people. So again, trying to stick with a little bit more upscale, hence like the purple trim. Yeah. Moving into the rack cards, we went with a front and back rack card. The tri-fold ones we found to be a little bit more expensive, and it required active participation for the reader to open it up and sift through the information. So we were again trying to stick with a more minimal theme. We have since this date phased out these rack cards, as the majority of our business for the property caretaking is not coming from the rack cards. It's coming from being able to hand out business cards as a professional courtesy, but a lot of it at this point is word of mouth referrals. We are going to shift the rack card information to keep a similar theme, but it's going to incorporate information about the local market, and there will probably not be a property caretaking rack card in the future. As the property caretaking and especially the cabin rentals is developed, we are experimenting with just making a rack card advertising the cabin rentals and the hiking and camping and the resources available on the property itself that we have available for rent. We keep those themes as we transfer all of that into Facebook. Again, trying to stick with a repetition of people seeing these logos. It's on our main website as well. And I don't have a picture of it yet, but we just recently obtained t-shirts that do have the Meanwhile Back and Saluda logo, the one that's up in the top left, depicted. So that is my screencast for the logo and justification. Again, it's been very interesting to look at the previous work that I developed out of a sense of necessity and experimenting, and then trying to grow those, and especially now having more knowledge than I had when I first started. It's been interesting to see some of the similar themes continue to develop, and then me recognizing some of those themes which need to shift or could be phased out. In doing this assignment alone, it actually really assisted with me being able to better define the target audience. And it was actually after doing this assignment that I really wanted to go back to the ideal client screencast and really just start over from scratch so that I could have a better understanding of the direction we were heading in. Thanks for watching my screencast, and I'm looking forward to the feedback for all of the rack cards and for the business cards. Thank you very much.